WFLA Now, this is Hey JB. Here's JB Buno.
A manhunt launched in Alabama for a missing escapee out of Alabama, Casey White, and missing and possibly endangered correction officer Vicki White. We're moments away from a press conference that's about to get underway here live from the sheriff's office there in Alabama, expecting an update of some kind, a $10,000 reward offered for any information leading to the whereabouts of Casey White and Vicki White, said to have no relation, according to officials in Alabama. But the press conference going to be beginning here any moment, 10:30 Central Time, 11:30 Eastern. You might have heard about this story over the weekend. Let's get the update from the sheriff's officials there in Alabama.
All right, I've got 10:30, so we'll get started. First of all, I want to thank all of you in the media for the assistance that you've been to the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office as we've tried to locate Casey White and our Assistant Director, Vicki White. You've been a tremendous asset to us, and we appreciate you helping us get the word out. I also want to thank our partners, our federal and state partners. The U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force has taken the lead in trying to locate the White, and they're doing a tremendous job. They've gone over and above and working diligently, basically around the clock, to try to locate Casey White and Vicki White. We also have the assistance of the FBI, ATF, and Secret Service. On the state level, we have the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency assisting us. So we've got plenty of resources. These federal agencies and state agencies have resources that we don't have. They've made all those resources available to us, and we're utilizing everything we have and have access to in this search. I do have a little new information to pass to you. I know that we've been talking over the last few days about us canvassing video surveillance in the area where the patrol car was found last Friday afternoon. We did have one success in that. We see the patrol car parked at the intersection of Huntsville Road and Cox Creek Parkway, which is about 2 blocks from the location it was found. That video was time-stamped at 9:49 a.m. Director White and Casey White left the detention center at 9:41 a.m. So that's 8 minutes time span. What that tells us is that the patrol car left the detention center and went straight to the parking lot. There was not enough time for them to even attempt to try to come to the courthouse and then get out there and be at that red light 8 minutes later. So the direction of travel was from the courthouse, from the detention center directly out Huntsville Road to Cox Creek and then to the Florence Square shopping parking lot. The other thing that I want to make you aware of today is that we have had a warrant issued for Director Vicki White. The charges are permitting or facilitating an escape in the first degree. That's Alabama Code 13A 2034. So there is an active warrant out for Miss White, obviously for Casey White. So we're in hopes that we'll get some much needed breaks here in the next few hours, few days, that will help us locate them and get them back here to Lauderdale County and get Casey White, especially behind bars. Casey White, as you've heard me say over and over, is an extremely dangerous person, and we need to get him located and get him off the street. So again, thank you for all your help in that. At this time, I want to issue to the U.S. Marshal for the Northern District of Alabama, Marty Keeley. Marty's, as I said, his fugitive task force has been a tremendous asset to us, not only in this case, but in cases over the years, and we appreciate all of their assistance and help. So, Marty, Mr. Marshal.
Thank you, Sheriff. I just want to add that the Gulf Coast Regional Fugitive Task Force, U.S. Marshal Service Gulf Coast Task Force, is assisting the sheriff and his deputies in this investigation. They've been a partner of the Marshal Service for many years now. I would like to emphasize that this case is now a major case for the United States Marshal Service, which helped to facilitate the reward for information, up to $10,000 for information leading to the location of either one of these particular suspects or subjects. I would like to ask the public to keep in mind that Casey White is a large individual. He is 6 feet 9 inches tall. You know, there is the possibility that he's changed his identity as far as his looks, but he will stand out at 6 feet 9 inches. So I want to emphasize that to the public. Again, that information or any information about this case can be reported to 911, and that is the way you should report it. You shouldn't try to approach either one of these individuals. We consider both of them dangerous, and in all probability, both individuals are armed. Thank you, Sheriff.
All right, at this time, I'll be glad to take a few questions, and my media policy for the years that I was chief of police in Florence and as sheriff has been, it's on the table, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If there's an investigative or legal reason I can't answer your question, I'll let you know.
Sheriff Owen Lopez, ABC News.
Yes.
What was the interaction between the two in that surveillance video that you saw?
Actually, the surveillance video was not clear. It was from a distance and really couldn't make out any individuals per se, but we definitely know it was a patrol car.
Was he seated in the back of the patrol car or in the front?
From the video camera footage we have, we can't tell, but I'm sure he was probably in the back. He was in the back when he left the jail. You know, to stop on the side of the road, all those roads are heavily traveled. Someone would have seen something and suspected something, I think. So we're assuming he remained in the back seat until they arrived at the parking lot.
Was he handcuffed when he went into the patrol car?
He was handcuffed and shackled.
Sheriff, any tips from the public so far? Anything that's helped you in terms of this investigation?
We have gotten some tips, and of course we're following every lead we get. You know, we've had some tips. I think I've let y'all know we've gotten some a couple of tips on a possible vehicle. We're still pursuing that, trying to get a positive confirmation on a possible vehicle they switched into. But yes, we've gotten some information that's been helpful.
Have you been able to get in contact with his family so far?
We have.
Sheriff, Matt from Channel 31 here. You know, a lot of people here, of course, are following this, but there's folks across the country that are also following this. With the lead time that they had to get out ahead of this thing, those hours are important. What have you done to work with folks along the borders and airlines to make sure that maybe they didn't slip through those cracks?
Yeah. We have not, to my knowledge, unless the task force has, and I'm not aware, been in touch with the Canada or Mexican borders or their countries. He did not have any identification with him. That's not to say he couldn't obtain some kind of identification or false identification, but he would certainly need identification to cross those borders. You know, but to my knowledge, we have not contacted, reached out to those countries.
Sheriff, the surveillance video, new video at the intersection, will that be released?
Actually, we viewed it. We don't have a copy of it right now.
Any timetable for that?
Yeah, the company or the business that has the video, they have to bring their techs in to download it and all that, so we haven't had time to get a copy of it.
Sure.
But we have seen it.
Sorry. In light of this event, are you taking any evaluations of the protocol for escorting inmates?
Well, protocols were in place. You know, we have a policy. It required two deputies transport. This was, you know, again, lends us to believe how it was orchestrated, because we had two vans of inmates leave just minutes before Director White had Casey White brought up front. Both those vans had two deputies on them. One had 5 inmates, the other had 7 inmates. Minutes after the second van left, Director White instructed another corrections deputy to bring Casey White up, prepare him for transport. That's when they put the handcuffs and the shackles on him, as customary and protocol. She informed the booking officer that she was the only available person that was certified to carry arms to transport, so she was going to bring him to the courthouse, drop him off to the other deputies, and then go to a medical appointment. So, you know, that's why I'm sure that the booking officer didn't question it. She, after all, is her boss, and she coordinates all the transport. So, you know, that's sort of how that transpired. Yes, ma'am.
So, is your investigation going with, now that there's a warrant, are you going with now more that she could possibly be involved, that he didn't coerce her, threaten her against her will? Is that still a possibility?
That he threatened her?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know she participated.
Right.
You know, now whether she did that willingly or if she was coerced, threatened, somehow to participate in this escape.
Not ruled out.
Not really sure, but we know for sure she did participate, and you know.
There's video stills released for his most recent appearance. Is that what we can expect him to look like now with the crew cut, not the welder cut?
Yeah, that photo was taken in the halls of the detention center Tuesday before they left on Friday.
Are they related in any way?
They're not related.
Is there any evidence that they had spoken before Friday?
We're looking into that.
Any knowledge of
We're reviewing video footage, phone calls, every avenue we have to see if there was any kind of relationship prior to this. Let me get this, gentleman.
Obviously, you guys, special deputies, work pretty closely with each other. To have this happen with one of your own, how upset are you? Do you feel betrayed at all with the way this has played out so far?
Well, absolutely. You know, if she did this willingly, you know, those of us who work with Vicki White and have worked with her for years, this is not the Vicki White we know by any stretch of the imagination. She has been an exemplary employee. I was told by the director of the jail that Friday night it was like you was at a funeral wake. The employees are just devastated that she was involved in this, and they're concerned for her, concerned for her safety, as are we. And you know, we just hope that this has a good ending.
She just put in for her retirement of better than 16 years, right?
Yes. She'd been talking about retiring for 3 or 4 months, and you know, and had done some things. You know, she did sell her home about a month ago, and talked about going to the beach. So you know, we you know, that's just you know, everybody thought she was going to retire.
Right.
You know, nobody saw this coming.
Date in place for her to retire yet?
I'm sorry.
Did you yet have an effective date of retirement?
She was to retire that day. That was to be her last day at work.
So that's questionable.
Yeah. Now, over here.
So we
Yes, ma'am.
We know that he tried to escape a few times. Why wasn't he moved to a state prison?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
We know he has a history of attempting to escape. Why wasn't he moved to a state prison?
He was brought here from the Department of Corrections on February the 25th. He has pending charges here for capital murder. There were some court proceedings scheduled between February the 25th and the end of May. He was brought here for those court appearances. When those appearances were concluded, he was then returned to the Department of Corrections.
Talk about the retirement. I understand that money had not been released. The retirement hadn't been released, but there's reason to believe that there was a significant amount of cash on hand.
No.
Have you been able to figure that out?
I think from the sale of her house, she possibly had access to some cash. The retirement papers were never sent into the state retirement system. She had to have a conference with the personnel director before that could happen. She never came in. They returned in Thursday. She never came in, of course, before Friday, so those papers were never forwarded to the retirement system.
As part of the investigation, are you looking into the fact that maybe they did have a romantic?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's always a possibility.
Marshall, can you say just how many people that you guys are bringing to bear also for this search and what you guys are doing right now as we speak?
Yes, I said we've partnered with the Sheriff's Office for many years, and this is now a major case for the United States Marshal Service, which triggers additional resources. I won't go into the exact number that we have on site in other locations also. But as the Sheriff said, we are receiving tips. We're following up on each and every one of those tips. So we're fully committed to this investigation.
As a member of law enforcement, is it harder to maybe find them because she may know the tricks of the trade?
Well, obviously, she's been in corrections for 17 years, so she has knowledge that the general, general citizen would not have. I think that certainly played in her favor as far as getting him out of jail like she did. So, somebody.
Sheriff, was her medical condition a concern to you as she expressed that on Friday?
We don't think it was real. We think that was an excuse. It's not unusual if we have an inmate that's not feeling, our employee's not feeling well, take off or whatever. And she just reported that morning that she wasn't feeling well, so she's going to drop him off and go to one of the emergency care centers and get checked out.
Sheriff,
And maybe to the Marshal Service as well, can you quantify the number of tips you've received, whether any of those have been, substantiated, where they're coming from? Are these from across the country, various states?
I just know we've gotten several tips. I don't keep a tally on the numbers. The investigative crew, and we have several on-site investigators, federal, state, local, that are following up on those tips. But to tell you how many, I don't know.
Sheriff, talking to some of the employees, has anyone said that they had any belief that she had a relationship of any kind to Casey White?
No, not that we've been able to confirm at this point. We're still looking into that, reviewing phone calls, reviewing video from the jail to see if she spent any kind of extraordinary amount of time at his particular cell. She was in her job, she was throughout the detention center, on a regular basis, several times a day, walking the halls. So she had several opportunities each day to be in contact with any given inmate.
Given the lead time, do you have any sense where they are at this point?
We don't. If we knew where they were at, we would be there, not here. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean that sounded so short, I guess. But,
have you had the opportunity to talk to Connie Ridgway's family?
I have talked with her son and given them my phone number and told them any questions they had to not hesitate to reach out to me. We're committed to getting Casey White back in custody and back behind bars where he belongs. And her family, her two sons, have been through a lot of trauma the last 6-7 years. And we thought we had closure for them to a point, and now that's totally upside down. So I can't imagine what they're going through, knowing that the man that killed their mother is out loose on the streets again. A couple more questions.
Can you speak to his past escape experience? What that entails?
He was in our facility in 2020, and we got information that he was plotting an escape at that time. We followed up on that information. We shook him down, and we did find a shank in his position. The shank's a prison knife, and when we retrieved that, we immediately had him shipped back to the Department of Corrections. That was at the time, although we had a policy in place that 2 officers escort inmates at that time, we emphasized that policy with him. And Director White was aware of that, so she strictly violated.
And Sheriff, just to clarify, you said that it was February of this year that he had been brought
Yes.
back to the Lauderdale County Jail. Correct?
February 25th. One more question.
Sheriff.
Yes.
Under Alabama law, an inmate facing a capital sentence, could he be facing the death penalty?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what the capital murder charge is a possibility of death. So he has nothing to lose with his violent past. He is extremely dangerous, and I want to emphasize as much as I can. And we're concerned about everybody, but there's going to be some law enforcement officers somewhere in this country or this state that's going to come across this guy. And I can't emphasize enough to our brothers and sisters in blue, don't take any chances with this guy. He's dangerous. And I can't emphasize that enough to our fellow law enforcement officers across the country. If you encounter this guy, you need to know he is dangerous. Don't take any chances with him. Thank y'all again for coming out and helping us get the word out. We will capture them. They will be brought back to justice, and your assistance in helping us achieve that is greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's J.B. Buno.
An arrest warrant issued for the Alabama corrections officer believed to have aided the escape of a dangerous criminal in Northwest Alabama, that being Casey White. The two now the focal point of a massive manhunt that has been launched by the local sheriff's office and the U.S. Marshal Service. Hey there, everybody. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. You just heard the press conference wrap up there a moment ago. Let's kill some of the audio there and talk about this very peculiar story. A lot peculiar about this story, a story that is developing out of Northwest Alabama. We just got a lot of new information to share with you, but if you're just learning about this story, this was really developing over the weekend when we had a escaped inmate out of the Lauderdale County Jail. A inmate that was being taken for a mental health evaluation at a county courthouse was being transported from one county facility to the other, And the person who was responsible for that transfer, for that transportation, is Vicki White, there on the right side of your screen, said to have no relation to Casey White despite having the same last name. That was one of the comments that came up immediately in our Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section, people asking, is there any chance that these two are related, having the same last name of White? The last name of White, I looked it up, top 25 most common last names. You'll find it as far as the last name being White. So it's a relatively common last name is White. So no relation according to the sheriff's office there in Northwest Alabama. But still a lot peculiar about this story. And now we have this news about this video, this surveillance video that captured them. I want to make sure that I have this right, so I'm going to read this here from my notes. They were seen leaving around 9:30 in the morning, seen leaving, of course, the county jail. The patrol car was found not too far away, and then a surveillance camera captured them at a shopping center, the Florence Square Shopping Center, or near there. That's where the patrol car was found. Never made it to the courthouse where this, again, there was supposed to be this transportation for this, this mental health evaluation. And this surveillance video that has them a couple of blocks away without the patrol car. So the big question right now, of course, is where are they? They have no idea. You just heard it there from the sheriff's press conference. They have no idea where Vicki White and Casey White are located. But, of course, they are believed to be together. You have to expect them to be armed and dangerous, according to the U.S. Marshal Service. And now a massive manhunt has been launched. But really the big question after where are these two is whether or not this was a planned escape that was aided by the Assistant Director for Corrections, as I understand. I believe that was her title. Vicki White is the Assistant Director for Corrections at the jail. And so for someone that they speak so highly of to aid the escape of a dangerous, we're not talking about somebody who's in the jail on some low-level charges. We're talking about somebody who's in the jail on capital murder charges and upon conviction would face the death penalty. We're talking about a very dangerous person. A little bit on Casey White there on the right side of your screen. Serving 75 years for a series of crimes back in 2015. Home invasion, carjacking. He was also involved in a police chase, according to the U.S. Marshal Service. Also 2 counts of capital murder for the stabbing death of a 58-year-old. The 58-year-old's name, Connie Ridgway, according to the U.S. Marshal Service, several years ago. In 2020, Casey White confessed to killing and then pleading not guilty, according to the Lauderdale County District Attorney. The inmate has been, of course, awaiting trial, has been locked up and awaiting trial on these charges. He's 6'9". You saw that we activated share to help on the bottom of your screen. It's so common, of course, for people to try to help when you're talking about a story like this. And so it's worth noting, 6'9" is Casey White's height. That is extraordinarily tall, way taller than the average person. So that I saw that the comment section, I was reading the comment section lit up with comments when they said that, because again, that can be a very, very helpful piece of information for people as they look out for somebody. I'm talking about at rest stops, I'm talking about at gas stations, at motels, areas where they could be traveling to or trying to get to their destination and making stops at along the way. So Casey White, you see him there, a lot of different pictures, shaved head, longer hair, facial hair, sometimes some stubble. There he is, clean shaven. A lot of different looks, but and of course, whenever you're dealing with a runaway, you have to deal with the potential of there being a change in appearance, but you can't really change your height. 6'9" is an identifiable characteristic that might really be the difference in people, recognizing the two together. Blonde-haired woman is relatively common as far as Vicki White goes, but Casey White, being as tall as he is, again, that might be a difference maker when it comes to people keeping their eyes peeled for these two that are believed to be together. Did Vicki White help or aid in the escape? And was she coerced? These are going to be big questions. the most peculiar thing about this story to me, and I use the word peculiar for really this reason, is that Vicki White, having a relatively high rank within the Department of Corrections in Lauderdale County here in Northwest Alabama, was days away from retirement. Had her retirement papers on the ready. I mean, she was talking about for months. She was talking about retiring and being at the end of an established and a highly respected career in law enforcement with the Department of Corrections. Someone who was very well liked. You heard the sheriff's official there saying, "This is not the Vicki White we know." So days away from retirement, we're talking about here. And can you think about that for just a second, or try to fathom that for a second? You're days away from retirement, and could one of your final acts have been a planned and coordinated escape of a extremely dangerous individual out of your county jail? Now, there's other options, or not other options, but but other scenarios that are at play here too, right? Is there any way that Vicki White's life was threatened, or the life of a loved one was threatened, where she felt that she had no choice? Is there more to this story as to why Vicki White, 8 minutes or so afterwards, is seen leaving the area of the patrol car where the patrol car was found with Casey White? What is there to this story? There's just a lot of peculiar sort of wrinkles to this story that we hope to find out more about. But really the big takeaway from this is that they have no idea where they are. Vicki White and Casey White could be anywhere, and that's why we're using social media here. We've activated Share to Help, trying to raise awareness about this story and getting it to as many places as possible. This is originating in Northwest Alabama. Of course, there's going to be Tennessee ties as well. And really the entire region should be on the lookout. But this was Friday, their escape. It's Monday. It's Monday now. It's a completely new month. We're in May now. And we're 4 days after this. You can get anywhere in 4 days. Anywhere. So these two can be anywhere. And it's very, very common for us to see people, try to escape north. People try to escape south, or what you'll see sometimes too is try to escape to a hideout, some kind of place where they can get to and try to lay low for a period of time. Are they on the road? Are they hiding out? These are big questions. They do not know, but tracking them from the point when that surveillance video captured them, again, I believe the timestamp was 9:49 a.m. Central Time on Friday, 2 blocks away from the parking lot where the patrol car was found. They had left the jail 8 minutes prior, 9:41 a.m. Let's get to some of the comments, folks. For those of you just joining us, I would like to feature some of the comments that are trickling into our comment section on WFLA Now. So let's launch our comment section here, and we'll say hello to everybody joining us on YouTube Live. Hello there to you. JB here with you. I see Drive-In Fan. I see Dana Brown. I see Robert Simpson, Diane Ledford. Hello to those of you joining us on YouTube Live. And let's say hello to some of the folks joining us on Facebook Live. Nikki Fortuna, Fran Fisher, Donna Douglas, Shauna Gibbs, Karen Pfrom, Kara Hofacker. A lot of folks joining us. Let's get to some of the comments that are coming in and start to have a little bit of a conversation with you if we can. I think that we have the most recent photo that I have of Vicki White. Debbie is asking, can we see a picture of Vicki White? Let's get this loaded up on our screen, the comment section loaded up on our screen. And hopefully we'll be able to get Debbie's comment up on screen. And there it is. Can you show an updated picture of Vicki White, please? Let's go back to that. I think this is her headshot is probably not going to be the most updated photo. It's a very good point. So this is the photo that I was given for Vicki White. And if we can go back, let's scroll back, and there it is. So that's her headshot. Now, Let's see here. I'm trying to get an age on Vicki. And this is where sometimes our YouTube and Facebook audience can be very, very helpful. I'll see if I can try to get an age on Vicki. I don't have an age on Vicki. And two, I'd also like, you know, I'm trying to get some details on her physical characteristics, her height and weight. These can be helpful when you're talking about something. That is her headshot. Who knows how many years my headshot for WFLA hasn't been updated in years. Who knows how many years have passed since this headshot was taken. It's very possible that this is not a current look at what Vicki White looks like. And if you're trying to evade authorities, I can guarantee she's not in her sheriff's office uniform. So having an updated physical characteristic and an updated age is really important. I'll try to look for that. Okay, I'm seeing 56 in our comment section. I thought I saw that somewhere in my notes. I also, too, because that was the number that was on my mind, was 56. Let me make sure let me see if I can find that in my notes. Oh, see, and I just put in, I put in the wrong search. Yeah, 56 years old. So just wanted to confirm that, not saying that our YouTube audience is rarely ever wrong. Our YouTube audience is spot on. But yeah, 56 years old. Does that look like somebody on the right side of your screen who's 56? I'm gonna say no, that this headshot looks considerably dated. So yeah, Debbie, I think this is a good opportunity for us to look for some photos that we have access to that show us some pictures of Vicki White from when she is older, and more of her current age. Maybe she is 56 here. Maybe she's a very youthful looking 56. I just can't say. I don't have the information as to when this headshot was taken. A lot of commenters. This is why, again, interactive journalism, very, very helpful when I can talk back and forth with you guys. Victorious here saying Vicki White is 56, I believe. So yes, thank you. We'll get back to some of the other comments that are coming in. Let's go over to YouTube. And thank you to our YouTube moderators as well for helping out in the chat. I see you guys. Thank you. Nick Rose saying, #KJB, could they be on an airplane right now and out of the country? Air travel is extraordinarily difficult when you are this radioactive, so to speak. When if there was any flag on any air travel or any even attempt to purchase a ticket for air travel, chance it's not going to happen for Casey White. There's no doubt in my mind that Casey White's supposed to be in jail. He's not supposed to be on a plane. There's no way whatsoever that it's possible for him to get on a plane. Is it possible for Vicki White to get onto a plane? It's possible. These two are in all likelihood together, but we also have to let people know there is a chance that they're not together as well. While I think in all likelihood they are, there's also a chance that they have separated and gone their separate ways. Casey White too. If this is something that was planned out for a long period of time, is there any possibility that there could have been some high-level coordinated strategy to get out of the country that involved air travel? If this was something that was in the works for a while, I'm sure it's possible. But getting somebody locked up on capital murder out of the country via the sky is going to be extraordinarily difficult. And it's more likely that they have tried to hit the road or find a hideout. So many cases involving people that escape jails or prisons. So many of them end up trying to find a place to lay low for a period of time. And sometimes that can be in a very rural location, find a hideout in the woods somewhere. I've covered stories where Instead of being in a vehicle, vehicles can be tracked, and vehicles, you're also exposed to a lot of eyeballs out there, because every time you pass another vehicle, if they have a description of your vehicle, all it takes is somebody passing by to recognize your vehicle, recognize the tag number, and before you know it, they have an updated location as to where you might be on the road. I've covered stories where people that escape or are attempting to elude authorities, they'll just trek through the woods, they'll camp out in the woods, and then what the strategy is after that, it can depend case to case, and it can depend, of course, on the fugitive that we're talking about. Yeah, always sparkling on YouTube, says hashtag HJB. I hashtagged you on Facebook with an updated photo. That one is old. Yeah, I'll try to be on the lookout for that. It's really difficult when we stream here and I'm trying to find one comment. It's like a needle in a haystack. And I'll try to just see if we have an updated photo that in our system that I can grab. Oh, see, this is interesting. I don't know, but see, guys, there's rules in place when it comes to photos. I can't just throw up any photo before it's, completely verified by our team. So I do see that there are some updated photos showing Vicki White. And yes, that appears to be the headshot that we were showing earlier and the one that's going to be looping on your screen. That appears to be a very, very old headshot. And so from these images that I'm seeing here as well. So but this was a celebrated member of the Department of Corrections there in Lauderdale County. She had received promotions. She was highly respected by her colleagues. So for this to happen, it's extremely out of character, in the rough words of the sheriff's office. Just not something that they would ever expect from somebody who was, again, so close to retirement. Apparently she was talking about, retiring to the beach and wanting to be near the beach and experience the beach life. To be that close to retirement and then be involved in the escape of one of the most dangerous criminals that they have locked up there, according to officials. One of the most dangerous criminals that they have locked up there in Lauderdale County. That's so bizarre. It's so strange. Okay, so Patricia is asking this question in our YouTube comment section, and I'll get back to Facebook, you guys. I'll get back to Facebook. I want to bring this up because this is one of the reasons why so many people were gravitating to this story over the weekend on Twitter. Is there a chance of a romantic relationship between these two? This is something that I think is going to be explored in the how much contact did these two have in the Department of Corrections before this, prior to this, and was it common for them to be seen together inside the building? She was again, I want to just review my notes here. I believe that she was the assistant director of corrections. Or she had a high-level position, or a relatively high-level position within the Lauderdale County's Department of Corrections. And so is it common for somebody of her rank to have longer levels or longer periods of time, of longer exposure periods of time with an inmate like that? Did other corrections officers see them spending a lot of time together inside the Department of Corrections? What was their relationship before this occurred? I think is going to be a big question. And is there any chance that relationship was in any way, shape, or form romantic is also going to be a major question. Let's get to some of the other questions coming in on Facebook. I didn't catch this one, but this is always explored, Lisa. This is always explored when you're talking about a case of this magnitude. Lisa Matos saying, #KJB, have they checked into her recent financials, seen if any large amount of money has been withdrawn? Without question, now especially with an arrest warrant being issued for her, they are all over her financials. Clearly, whatever financial accounts Casey White had prior to his arrest, that they're already over that as well. But really, Vicki White's financials are a big deal. And of course, tracking credit cards, debit cards, that sort of thing. Vehicles and identifying her vehicles and where they have been and where they have traveled lately. All these questions, these are all now under the scope of this investigation. I did not hear anybody else in the press conference. I didn't hear anything about her financials. But of course, it's going to be a major part of the investigation. You cannot escape, and you can't elude authorities for an extended period of time without some kind of bankroll, some kind of means, and it's usually going to be cash. It's usually going to be the most untraceable form of currency. These are questions for investigators. Tony, I'll bring up your question. But another thing too. So bank accounts is one. Tony Lee saying #KJB. When was the last time her cell phone or bank accounts were used? Cell phone is also going to be big. But again, anyone who's attempting to elude authorities is going to find a way to do so without being easily tracked. I'm gonna just try to give Vicki White the benefit of the doubt. It's pretty obvious that if you're gonna try to escape authorities or elude authorities, that you're gonna leave the most traceable things behind, or you're gonna take ginormous steps to ensure that you cannot be tracked. And so I think we can give her that much credit as an intelligent human being. It doesn't take much intelligence to know that you should probably not have a traceable cell phone in your name, and traveling with an escaped fugitive on the run. Now, this is I'm stating the obvious. I'm stating the painfully obvious. But we don't. That's a question for investigators, Tony. I don't have that information. We'll do a few more questions before we got to get going. So this is a question. Chrissy Lynn, #KJB. Why would they only put one officer with him, with his history, or being with his history? This is a fascinating question, but I know from doing stories about the Department of Corrections in a variety of different places, in a variety of different states, it's not a place where they have an unlimited amount of manpower and an unlimited amount of resources. Just like any workplace these days, or at least most workplaces, there's going to be a crunch when it comes to manpower. There's going to be a crunch when it comes to finances. And so it was not all that surprising to me when I heard that Vicki White and Casey White were traveling one-on-one. Again, this was an appointment, a scheduled mental health evaluation at the county courthouse that they were supposed to go. The itinerary, if you will, was to go from the county jail to the county courthouse for this mental health evaluation. They never made it to the county courthouse. They found the vehicle at a shopping plaza. The patrol car went to the Florence Square Shopping Center, if I have this right in my notes. And then they were seen a couple of blocks away without the patrol car. So I wasn't surprised, Chrissy, that there was just one officer, especially when we're talking about this is a relatively small county in a relatively rural place in Alabama, Lauderdale County. I used to report hello to anybody who's followed me from my days in Alabama. I did 5 years in Alabama, but I was the complete opposite end of the state. I covered Mobile and Baldwin counties, really the Gulf Coast, southern Alabama, the southernmost tip of Alabama, the area that touches the northern Gulf Coast and the Gulf of Mexico. I was there for 5 years. Some of my fondest memories was covering news in Alabama. And hello to anybody who's joining us from Alabama. But this is the complete opposite end of the state, the northwestmost county, Lauderdale County. And I don't even know I haven't been to Lauderdale County ever. I've, again, many years in Alabama, but never been to Lauderdale County. It is right there on the state line with Tennessee, and actually, yeah, because it's northwest, it also shares a little bit of territory with Mississippi as well. Florence and Muscle Shoals, two of the more well-known areas of Northwest Alabama, and really Florence is located right there in Lauderdale County. Muscle Shoals, I think most people will recognize from Sweet Home Alabama, the song by Lynyrd Skynyrd. Muscle Shoals gets a shout out in that song. This is about a few hours west of, I think a couple hours west of Huntsville is where we're talking about here. Or maybe a little bit less than that, depending on traffic. Yeah, just looking at a map here. Yeah, Brittany asking in our comment section wants to know more about the phone records. I don't blame you. A phone, and we talked about this during Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. The phone's everything. Phone's everything. So you got to track the phone. But, as again, going back to that case, and we talked about this at such extraordinary length, it's really not that difficult to get an untraceable kind of tracker phone, if you will, a dummy phone, something that's not too sophisticated but gives you access to communicate with others via phone number or text message. So you have to go into this with the assumption that, again, that they are not stupid. You have to go into that with this assumption, and in all likelihood, they're not using anything all that traceable. If they were able to use something traceable, that would have been the first thing they did on Friday, is they would have been able to contact cellular companies, triangulate their most current positions, and receive a better idea as to where they were located. That would have been something we had known about perhaps end of day, business day Friday. Donna, #HJB, are they related? No, it's just by coincidence that these two have the same last name, as we understand it, as it's been communicated to us. Is there any chance of there being a fringe relationship or family connection, if you will, like super, super distant? I don't know. But I will tell you that if it was such a extraordinarily distant family connection, again, why are you helping somebody who is, named a dangerous criminal within the Lauderdale County Department of Corrections? Why are you helping them escape? I can tell you that if my cousin was in prison on these serious charges, I love my cousin, but I'm not going to help them escape because we have the same last name. Maybe I'm not going to risk breaking into a jail to assist my cousin escaping jail and escaping prosecution. For somebody to be, again, going back to Vicki White and her impending retirement, this is somebody who was right in the final days, if you will. The final days of her long career. It's almost, think about retirement as the end of a massive marathon. You've been running now for working your butt off, working your tail off for so long. You can see the finish line, and then instead of going to the finish line, you commit a crime before you get there, before you have your moment of triumph. It's just completely and totally bizarre for somebody who, right on the heels of retirement, is believed now to have aided the escape of a very dangerous criminal. It's that's again the most peculiar part about this story to me. Let's go back to YouTube. Say hi to folks on YouTube. Linda, some others. Vicki, hello. Mystery Maven, some of our moderators. Thank you guys so much. James Vaughn, #AJB. Does anyone know if she owns a boat? Alabama to Florida and then to Cuba. These questions harken back to a previous news story that we covered at great length here on YouTube. You guys know the one I'm talking about. But she did mention beach life. I don't know if she owns a boat. And getting from Alabama to Florida, they share a state line, right there at the Floribama. If you've ever been, great place, great area, on the Panhandle. There's I'm not sure why you would, go on a boat to go from Alabama to Florida. I mean, I think what James is asking is if maybe you would get on a boat and traverse the Gulf of Mexico to get to southern Florida and then try to get out of the country. That's I think it would be more common or more practical for somebody to just drive down to Florida and then find a boat. But that takes such a highly coordinated effort. And we don't know the level of coordination that existed. We don't know when it comes to, it's like a bank robbery, right? There's different levels of bank robberies. There's high scale heists where it's extremely coordinated with blueprints, almost like in the movies, where they have a very, very pinpointed strategy. And then there's smash and grabs, where the whole idea is I'm going to go in there, point a gun, and rob a place. And it's just kind of very spontaneous and not very coordinated or planned. We don't know the level of coordination that existed here. These two were leaving together, and then they disappeared. And again, we don't know if Vicki White was coerced in any way, if there was any leverage that Casey White had on Vicki White's life or anybody else within her family. Could an associate of Casey White's, family members of Casey White's, had threatened Vicki White or Vicki White's family members in some way? There's so many. I want to just kind of put that out there, that there's so many different scenarios that come into play that we don't know the full extent of the story when it comes to why somebody who was on the edge of retirement, right there again at the final lap, the final stretch, the home stretch, if you will, decides to help a dangerous criminal escape. It's very bizarre. David Ice, #KJB, could he have hurt her? I believe that he was in shackles. I'm not entirely sure if there's any chance. But again, the two were seen together. Somebody in our comment section saying love will make you do crazy things. There's all this speculation now as to whether or not there was a romantic connection in any which way, shape, or form between these two. And that's why I want to know how much time were these two exposed to one another inside this jail, inside the Department of Corrections. How were they spending an odd amount of time around each other? Was his cell near her office? Were there any out of the ordinary, out of procedure rendezvous between the two that other corrections officers or even other inmates thought was peculiar and strange and not procedural? Jails and prisons, they operate with procedures, and while a lot of times it can be certain corrections institutions will operate with a little bit more structure than others. Other jails and prisons range in variety when it comes to just how much of a structured sort of facility that it is. And I cannot speak to this one. I don't know how rigid it was with the format of the prison, but these are all now questions as to what kind of relationship, if any, these two had prior to this period in time or this moment in time where they left the Lauderdale jail together. Nature Lover, #KJB, have they checked her computer search history? I can almost guarantee that there's going to be some, when it comes to an investigation like this, and now you have the U.S. Marshal Service, digital forensics are a big deal. Digital forensics, that wasn't really a big deal 20, 30 years ago. But now, digital forensics are a necessary department within just about every law enforcement institution in the country, especially the U.S. Marshal Service. They have a digital forensics team that can look into somebody's search history, They will examine the computers and the technology that she was using, phones, phone records, text records, web surfing records, anything that they can get their hands on to perhaps piece together more as to how this was able to happen, and most importantly, where could they be? Doing a Google search about a cabin somewhere, for example, is a piece of information that could provide to be useful, because if you did have something like that in a case like this, then you have maybe a little bit as to how your suspect was thinking at this moment in time about a potential strategy. Like if it was a week ago that you had somebody in a situation like this Googling cabins in the woods, that's interesting. Or if they did a Google map search from point A to point B, from Lauderdale County, Alabama to Tampa, Florida. That's a nugget of information that is potentially useful in a case like this. So digital forensics is expansive, it's massive, and of course it's going to be employed and used in an investigation of this magnitude. There's no doubt, and not starting today. I'm talking Friday. I'm talking really the moment that they knew that they had a dangerous criminal on the loose. Folks, we're going to have to get going here soon on WFLA Now. Maybe one or two more comments on each platform, and then we really got to go. Then we got Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd coming up here in a little bit. Sally is asking about movies where a female guard helped two guys escape. There's a lot of movies about escapes from jails and prisons. I don't know the one that you're talking about, but of course people immediately associate a story like this with Netflix shows, Hulu movies, stuff like that. To Thomas in our YouTube comment section, what I do here as far as live streaming, it's not just about, of course, always going to be rooted in reality, and we're also, when it comes to the format here, we're always rooted in reality. We're always going to be reporting fact, but it's also an opportunity for us to provide some context as to what could be within the realm of possible, as I call it. With a story that we cover, what is possible, what is not possible, what is likely, what is maybe not as likely. For example, these two getting on a boat and being in the Caribbean somewhere right now is in all likelihood a very remote possibility. But the two of them trying to find a family member that could help them, or a place to hide out and wait for things to kind of cool down, so to speak. These are all things that are more possible than somebody getting on a boat and being on a beach in Cuba with a margarita in their hands at this point. So, not saying that that's not within the realm of possible, but we always have to examine here, and this is why we try to have this conversation with you, our audience, as to what is possible and what is impossible, and what is likely and what is not likely, based on stories that we cover here all the time, whether it's in Florida or elsewhere here on WFLA. So hopefully that makes some sense. I want to end out on this comment from Amelia in our YouTube live comment section saying, #KJB, I hope this woman is found alive. And if she is, she has a lot of questions to answer. But if she's found dead, that will erase some doubts. Maybe he only needed her help to escape only. I saw the same, very similar comment, Amelia, on Facebook. I think that more than anything, you want both of these two to be found alive. And reason being is because there's justice that has to be... There's still pending justice when it comes to Casey White. We're talking about somebody who is facing 2 counts of capital murder on the charge of a stabbing death of a 58-year-old by the name of Connie Ridgway 7 years ago. Can you think about just for a second what the Ridgway family is going through? Connie gets stabbed to death. They have a suspect not just behind bars, but is staring at 2 counts of capital murder, and he escapes, and maybe escapes with help, willing help from a member of the Department of Corrections. Can you imagine how troubling that must be, and how difficult that must be as far as being difficult to swallow, how difficult that must be for the Ridgway family? So the Ridgway family wants there to be justice for Connie Ridgway. And based on, of course, what we know about the story, justice comes in the form of a trial against Casey White and legal proceedings against Casey White. And yeah, I'm echoing the comments that we have in our Facebook Live comment section too, that you want these two to be found alive and held responsible for their actions, and determining what exactly transpired here and getting to the facts of what exactly happened. We're going to stay on this story, folks. We're going to make sure that we have any updates on this story posted to our website, WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Appreciate all the reporters, the hardworking local journalists in Northwest Alabama. A lot of them traveling from Huntsville to get to Northwest Alabama, some of them coming from Tennessee. Some of the hardworking local news reporters on the ground covering this story, able to provide us with the information that we need to help spread the word about Casey White and Vicki White. A $10,000 reward has been offered for information leading to their whereabouts. The U.S. Marshal Service press conference and the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office press conference. You can replay this video at the beginning, and of course you can get the very latest from that press conference by just rewatching this video. I appreciate everybody joining us. You can click on the link in the description on this video for the very latest. We've got Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd coming up on WFLA Now this afternoon. For our YouTube live audience, I believe that's going to be on Facebook only, on WFLA.com and Facebook only. So Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd is coming up next here on WFLA Now. The very latest on this story and all of Florida's biggest headlines on WFLA.com and the WFLA app.